Hello and welcome to Up to Speed. I'm Diana Alvear and we've got a very packed show for you today. Really good stuff. We've got some 5G news, always a good show when we've got 5G news for you. And we're also going to be talking about equality, all of the seismic changes happening in America today. Well, we wanted to take it a step further and figure out how do we make progress in the workplace. We spoke to so many really incredible people, including Verizon's own lead director of the board, Clarence Otis. So lots to come on that, but let's jump right into that 5G news. Great news for those of you who are trying to keep your costs down. The Samsung Galaxy A71 5G UW is coming to Verizon, and guess what? You can pre-order it this Thursday. At only $649.99, it is the most affordable 5G ultra-wideband smartphone. So very exciting news there. And speaking of that 5G ultra-wideband network, our engineers, so smart, they have found an alternative way of using millimeter wave spectrum. I don't necessarily understand it. Thank God for smarter people than me. And they are able to get the network running even if they don't have the fibers in place. This is going to be a huge help to first responders and public safety agencies who absolutely depend on their devices to work in an emergency. So congrats to them for always doing their part in a crisis and making sure that that Verizon network is up and running to keep everybody safe. We also want to turn to the seismic changes, as I mentioned at the top of the show, that are happening in the country in general when it comes to the workplace, when it comes to seeing more equity, when it comes to seeing more justice. Verizon is proud to have donated $10 million, split equally among 6 different groups that are working to advance these causes. But then so many of us are asking, well, where do we go from here? What are the next steps, some real action that needs to take place in order to make sure that we create a more just environment when it comes to people working in America? Well, I spoke with Clarence Otis. He is our lead director of Verizon's board, and he has decades of experience when it comes to the work environment. And I also spoke with Dr. Peniel Joseph. He is the founder of the Center for the Study of Race and Democracy at University of Texas at Austin. And both of them had so much to say and gave us so much clarity when it comes to this issue.
These protests have really taken away all our illusions about racial progress, but they also show us, and this is where corporate responsibility comes in, corporations want peace. They want a thriving consumer economy like all of us do. So they want to be part of a solution.
People have really woken up to the fact that this is the experience, that this crosses every household in Black America, and they feel like they are complicit if they don't say or do something. And the people that are feeling like this are employees and customers of companies, and so companies are responding.
Well, we have to make racial justice the core of the bottom line and also the public face of corporate America. So that's Amazon, that's Verizon, that's Wells Fargo, Bank of America, but that's also Silicon Valley and venture capitalists, private equity, Wall Street. Usually they think about Black people and people of color just in terms of people who are negligible, people who are not at the center of what they're doing. If we center that and say this is connected to your bottom line in hiring, where you're going to get rewarded for hiring Black people and people of color. You're going to get rewarded for having people at the C-suite level who usually are never at the C-suite level. You're going to get rewarded for recruiting from historically Black colleges, historically Hispanic serving universities, instead of just going to the usual suspects, elite colleges and universities that have basically no people of color. Then we can shift that.
What I want to see happen is that we put together multi-year plans that speak to what are we going to do to make sure that we've got appropriately representative population of African American employees. Verizon is fortunate because it starts from a position of strength from that perspective, that the actual representation numbers are quite strong. But now the question is, what's our multi-year plan to make sure that people progress inside the organization? you definitely had to prove yourself. And the way that manifested itself for African Americans on Wall Street, and still does, is that you are in that position of having to prove yourself. If you weren't African American, you might get that next promotion, call it 5 years or 3 years. If you are African American, it's 7 years or 9 years. And so you have to be patient enough to wait that out. African Americans would refer to that as the black tax. I mean, that is just the way it is. You're nominated as high potential by other people, then you've already introduced bias into the equation, right? You look at your nomination systems and say, well, are there jobs where I don't rely on people to nominate people as potentially ready for the next level? I simply assume all of these people are ready for the next level. If they raise their hand and say that they are, then I will engage in a process to try to assess their leadership capabilities, put together a development plan that reflects the gaps that they've got, and move them forward.
It's the perfect time to hold anybody's personal company, including Verizon, their feet to the fire. You gave $10 million this year. What's your 5 and 10-year plan of promoting this anti-racism, racial justice orgs nationally and globally? Yeah, I'm very, very hopeful. I actually think, and I've been saying this nationally, that we have a generational opportunity to end institutional racism, to defeat white supremacy, to institutionalize Black dignity and citizenship. And when I say that, I think that if we ever institutionalize Black dignity and citizenship, people who are Latinx, people who are LGBTQ, people who are Asian, Native American, Indigenous, they're all going to be elevated and have that access to citizenship. We're not going to have Black dignity and citizenship and all these other people left behind.
Thank you so much, Clarence and Dr. Joseph, for giving us some insight into what we can look forward to in the next 10 years when it comes to the change that needs to take place. Now, here at Verizon, of course, this has been a very special time. We're not only looking back and reflecting on 20 years of incredible progress, we're also looking to the next 20. We're looking to see what the next 20 years hold. And this goes beyond technology. This goes beyond everything that Verizon is so good at doing. We're also talking about the social changes that need to be happening, the conversations that need to be taking place. And with that, we're so excited to let you know that we are launching the next 20. These are going to be conversations that focus on a variety of topics. And that very first conversation is launching tomorrow. It's going to focus on criminal justice reform. It's hosted by Yahoo News' Marquise Francis. Take a listen.
In honor of Verizon's 20th anniversary, this is a new series where we will have conversations about race, social justice, technology, and business issues that will define the next 20 years.
I am so excited about these next 20 conversations, and fortunately, I'm going to be hosting a few of them myself as well. So hopefully you will tune in and let us know how you feel about these topics. If there is anything that we're missing, we're always looking to talk about how to make the next 20 unforgettable. Now, speaking of all the changes that are taking place, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the fact that it's being driven by the youngest among us, Generation Z. Just incredible to see what these kids, I can call them kids because I'm of that age, what these kids are accomplishing and just inspiring us to do. And I wanted to dive a little deeper into this conversation. So I had the absolute privilege of chatting with a young V-teamer, Alexandria Johnson. She is a media strategy analyst, but more importantly, she is a committed change maker. And boy, does she have a lot to say, and I'm super excited about what's to come.
Growing up for Generation Z, we were taught that all people were created equal. We were taught that a lot of the things that were of the past, whether that be slavery, whether that be Jim Crow, things like that, those were all in the past, and that this was the new America and this was the new equal system. And as we've learned and tried to educate ourselves, we realized that is not the reality. We were painted a false picture of what reality actually was, and that's unfair.
The energy that's happening right now, it's infusing everything, and it's this idea of like, let's go out and break stuff and make new things that are better. And I'm here for it, you know.
Yeah. Me and my friends, we talk about like, if you educate yourself on what systems are in place, you know how to dismantle them in order to create something new. And I think that's kind of where we're at with society. We're realizing that it does not work. The system does not work for all of us. How can we reconstruct it in order for it to let everybody have some type of equal opportunity at the same types of lifestyles as others? To me, it's not just about, having a diversity and inclusion team, having a recruitment team, having this team, having that team. It's like, what does that entire process look like through and through that ensures and holds people accountable to making sure we see success in our community?
I've often been the only Latina in a workplace, like I'm the only Latina in the newsroom or the only Latina, in this particular workplace. And then I get asked like, well, what do Latinos think? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like one of, how many?
When you're in the room and you're the only person of color, it's harder to have your voice heard. It's harder for people to understand and, relate to your experience because they have never probably had that. There's no shared experience there. So my thing is when it comes to having more people in the room, it's more about diversity of experience and diversity of thought.
You're very much at the beginning of your career, but you clearly have a beautiful career ahead of you. So what kind of changes need to happen when it comes to hiring and promoting and grooming for leadership, especially at the C-suite level?
I see so many people, even, 10 years older than me, 20 years older than me, saying how this has been a cycle of an experience for them. And I realize then and there, I don't want that to be a cycle for me. I don't want this to be a cycle for the next, person of color that comes through the door, no matter where I'm at. I never want that to be something that they have to experience. It is a process that I think at its foundation needs to be worked at for all companies. It's not just a recruitment thing. It's not just on recruiters. It's not just on hiring managers. It's about how do you create this pipeline process from, okay, yes, they got recruited. Yes, they got the job, but how do we make sure they get the skills to get to that next job? How do we empower them to get that next and then that next and then that next role? You know what I'm saying?
I want you to look forward about 15 to 20 years. And what do you envision for yourself? What do you envision for the workplace and society?
Our generation is very entrepreneurial. We're very much like a do-it-ourselves person. So I started building out a platform. I built out a blog that ran for almost 3 years where I interviewed entrepreneurs. I interviewed people who were at these really cool positions in the world, and they were all under 25. And I think that was like a turning point in my college journey, which made me go harder. It made me understand, like, wait a minute, there's so many other possibilities for my life beyond what I'm doing right now, beyond what people have told me is possible for me. So I do want to just say that it definitely made a big difference.
Oh, girl, you just gave me chills right now. I love that. I love
it
that.
made a huge difference.
So right, is having the openness to opportunities, to looking for those opportunities as opposed to accepting what comes your way. No, you can make your way. And that's something that I love about this new generation is that you've grown up with the possibility of making your own way, and that's such an entrepreneurial approach to everything. And I feel like we're also seeing this entrepreneurial approach to progress. It's like, listen, we're just going to make it happen.
I want us to run towards change, run towards equality, because that's what we need for 15 years from now. That's exactly what we need. So from an individual level, I'm going to be running. I'm still going to be running then. From a, community level, I'm going to be hoping that people are jogging right next to me. I'm going to hope that they're jogging towards change and equality and making sure and ensuring that it's a consistent thing, because that's what we need is consistency. We don't want things to be reverted. We don't want things to go back in time. We want to be sure that we're always looking forward and looking forward in a positive light.
As you can see, the kids are definitely all right. And Verizon's future is in the right hands. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I'm Diana Alvear. Don't forget about that Next 20 conversation. It's going to be a good one, and there's so much more to come. As always, until next time, you're up to speed.